Hello everyone, this is AJ. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a movie review, that being the 2002 Spider-Man. Let's get into this. Okay, so we've got another Spider-Man film coming at us very soon, as you know, next chapter in the MCU. So in light of this, I thought I'd revisit all of the Spider-Man films, give them a review and end with a ranking. So this is episode 1 of the Tangled Web. Yes. So I'm going to be looking at Spider-Man 2002. So come and join me on this. So, yeah, I've been watching them in 4K. It'll be my first time watching Spider-Man, the original trilogy, in 4K, to be honest. I've never bothered with it before. Don't mean to sound negative with that comment, just not had the time. So yes, Spider-Man 2002. So this film here in the UK hit cinemas on June the 14th of that year, 2002. The film was rated 12A and run for 2 hours and 1 minute. The film is directed by Sam Raimi, who we all know from a screenplay by David Cope. Yes. The film stars Tobey Maguire in the lead role of Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, Kirsten Dunst or Dunst, how to pronounce that, I don't know, butchering that, as MJ, Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, James Franco as Harry Osborn, the son of Norman Osborn and best friend to Peter Parker. J.K. Simmons stars as Jonah Jameson. In a supporting role, in a small role, you've got Joe Manganiello as Flash Thompson, who went on to, well, he was going to play Deadshot in the DC universe of films. He did appear at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Anyway, so this film had a budget of 139 million, and in the United States alone it went on to earn 407 million and worldwide 825 million, so it was a massive hit. This is where superhero movies were starting to be taken seriously and were coming into their own. A few years before, you'd had Blade, obviously an 18 rated movie, but this kind of unlocked the door to superhero movies, for want of a better analogy. And then we got the first X-Men film that opened the door, and then in came Spider-Man. Yes. As you know, this initial series ran for 3 movies before we got a reboot. So anyway, this film came at us in a time, especially for America, where things were very it wasn't a great time, because you'd recently had 9/11 occur a year before, so much so that it did affect this movie. Now, in some marketing material for this film, there was a trailer played where there's a helicopter, a bank robbery, and the helicopter gets caught in a spider's web between the 2 twin towers. This marketing subsequently had to be pulled. You can see this advert on YouTube and that sort of a thing. Also, movie posters for this film. I remember having one myself. It was on my wall in my bedroom 20 years ago, and it was close up Spider-Man's face, and in his eye you had the reflection of New York City with the twin towers. Now, I believe that this had to be corrected as well in future posters for reasons of sensitivity, which is understandable. So this film came at us when America was in a lull, was in not in a great way, in morale was low and this sort of a thing. So it came at a good time, because in that sense, in that it helped lift. And there are scenes in this where Americans come together and New Yorkers come together, and at the time that would have been quite a powerful sort of message and feeling, and this country being brought together by this tragedy, even the world being brought together by this tragedy that had occurred. But enough of that, the film itself. So obviously this film is an origin film. You're introduced to the character of Peter Parker. He's at school, he's nerdy, he's on a science field trip. He subsequently gets bitten by a spider, develops his powers. At the same time as what he's born, Norman Osborn is born into, is birthed into the Green Goblin, so to speak. and the film progresses like that, and a showdown, all this sort of stuff, normal sort of stuff. You know the story, you've seen the film. So, you know, I remember at the time this film was fantastic, and it still is. It's a very, very good Spider-Man film. I think I've been spoilt by the MCU because I think a lot of these films, they're not forgotten, they're just sort of outdated, so to speak, in the sense of what we're getting now in comic book movies, where you've got the combined universes and all this sort of film. It kind of make these films feel somewhat lacking. But, you know, as much as the characters in this film, New York itself is a character, and this is something you don't get in the current Spider-Man films. You've not had him swinging around New York. They've already all been set elsewhere, this sort of a thing. So a bit of a, you know, you lose a little bit there. But this film itself, you know, Tobey Maguire is adequate as Peter Parker. Oh, he's not my favourite, don't get me wrong. I find his performance awkward at times. Kirsten Dunst is great as MJ. She looks great. She looks the part. Willem Dafoe, he steals the film in regards to acting. His performance and his switch between Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin at times when he's doing the mirror stuff is fantastic. And he also done 90% of his own stunts in this film. He's the standout performance. James Franco, who appeared in all three films, and we'll get to him as this progresses. He's fantastic in the film as Harry Osborn. He's probably got the most interesting journey through the trilogy. J.K. Simmons, I mean, what can I say about him as J. Jonah Jameson? Any scene that he is in, he steals. He's fantastic in this film. He's funny. He's a breath of fresh air. Obviously, the film being directed by Sam Raimi, famous director, The Evil Dead, Darkman, Army of Darkness. You know, very famous. He's going on to direct Doctor Strange. He is directing Doctor Strange 2. He's got a very distinctive visual style. In you know the way he edits things and scene over scene, this sort of thing, and that does come across in this film. It is very distinctively Sam Raimi. I don't think at this point he'd never directed a film of this magnitude, of this sort of budget, and he'd done a fantastic job. It's brilliantly shot. It's lively. It's colourful. You know, it looks really good. Okay, so you know, so it's a fantastic film. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of fun from beginning to end. It doesn't bore, nothing like that. I do have issue with some of the dialogue in the film. There's scenes that characters say, it makes me cringe. There's a scene between when MJ and Peter are sat at the bedside of Aunt May, and she's questioning Peter about Spider-Man, and she thinks he's in love with Spider-Man, and he tells her that he spoke to Spider-Man about her, and she asks what he said to Spider-Man, and he relays, you know, he makes something up on the spot about when you're looking in your eyes and you're looking back. You know, it's really cringy stuff. It's badly written. It feels like it's just nonsense that's being spoken. It's utter crap, utter garbage coming out of his mouth. It really is. There's no logic, rhyme or reason to what he's saying. It's just crap. He's spewing rubbish from his mouth. Okay, the Green Goblin itself looks like a Power Ranger. Everyone said that, you know that. The Green Goblin costume isn't fantastic. It's not good. Embarrassingly so, to be honest. There's a scene on a rooftop between Peter and the Green Goblin, and it pretty much falls flat because you've got these two characters like talking to one another. This is after Peter's been gassed, and it loses any that, you know, you've got Peter who's talking in his Spider-Man costume, masked up, and there's obviously no movement to the face whatsoever. You've got Willem Dafoe hidden under this mask. Okay, you can see his eyes, but you know, if the faces are hidden, and when you've got like this emotionally charged talk going on between the two of them. You can't see their faces. You do lose a lot. So these scenes kind of look stupid. There's obviously a few bits like that with the goblin in the film. Yeah, but for the most, it's a very enjoyable film. It's, you know, it done a lot for the superhero genre. We wouldn't be getting today the stuff we've got if not for how this film performed and how this trilogy performed, that sort of thing. Yeah, so a brilliant film. Obviously, I can't go anywhere without talking about the musical score. Yeah, so the music in this film was composed by Danny Elfman. Who'd obviously done Batman a decade before with Tim Burton. Fantastic musical score. Spider-Man's got his own theme tune within it. It's quite a memorable theme tune in that, and it does sort of take from. There are elements of it where I do hear Batman in there, and it wouldn't be out of place in a Batman film. But a very memorable score. Obviously adds to the music. Yeah, all in all, a wonderful film. It looks fantastic in 4K. There is an element of grain to the picture. That's to be expected. Some scenes are stronger than others with grain, but it sounds fantastic. The picture's fantastic. All this sort of stuff. So yeah, a very positive film. Enjoyed revisiting it. Not my favourite Spider-Man film. I know a lot of people have love for it, and I was at the right era for it to love it. But I think that better has come. I think better actors have played Peter Parker. That's just my opinion, but there you go. Anyway, this is AJ. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and all that stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care all, and goodbye.